So then, this is how I got into Hollywood. Martin Sheen saw one of my anti-war films and said, "I'd like you to fly out to California." So this is like in 2004 or something.
Charlie Sheen's dad.
Yeah. No, so that's how I met Charlie Sheen. So I'm at their house in Malibu.
That'd be a party.
And they're there, and there's like, all of a sudden Anthony Hopkins comes over, and it's like, I'm sitting at their house, and they're watching one of my documentaries, telling me how great I am. So they think I'm a leftist because it's anti-war, which I am anti-war just as a populist, as a conservative, as a person. And then Emilio Estevez comes over, and then all of a sudden Charlie Sheen comes over and he goes, "Hey man, I'll fly out here next time. I want you to blah blah." And back then he was with he was off the drugs. Then he was smoking cigarettes. He was with
the dark-haired, the hot girl.
No, it was the girl before that. Who's the one that's in Starship Troopers?
Oh, Denise Richards.
Denise Richards.
That's who he was married to. His kids with.
Yeah. So I used to go stay at his house. His kids are there. And,
You're staying with Charlie Sheen?
Oh yeah.
Buddy, invite me to that party next time, Alex Jones.
Well, no, I've stayed with him when he went downhill.
Definitely invite me to that party.
Yeah. He used to hey, my house is always here, man. And listen, you can use all my cars. Here, drive my Porsche. And it's like 800 horsepower. First gear goes like 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I was like, I've driven stick and good, but I had to turn it around and bring it back to his house. He's like, "Hey man, I want some Taco Bell. Go take the Porsche and go get me some down the hill." And I'm like, I had to bring back. Can I drive another car? I was like, I can't drive it.
Go back to what was happening. Go back to what was happening.
So this part,
Charlie Sheen and
show
Martin
the picture,
Sheen
Andres.
and all this.
Look at these guys. I mean, you look like you were in good shape. He looks like he was rough right there.
Tiger blood.
So Alex, you were saying about the Hollywood. You're
Martin
in Hollywood.
Sheen, Hollywood.
You're in Hollywood. You're going to be in the movie.
You were going somewhere with this, Mr. Jones.
And so then I got to know all these other people. Yeah. Those were off-record stuff. But I mean, he had to go to dinner with Buzz Aldrin, and Buzz Aldrin talk about the aliens and the secret bases and the obelisk, and how they're going to find water in 2 years. We're going to let the Indians find it, and 2 years later, I'm in an airport, and there's a newspaper saying, and I mean, just the most wacky stuff. Yeah. So then I start knowing all these other Hollywood people because I was going on TV shows and like some reality shows about conspiracy. Did a whole bunch of them, 5 or 6 of them, probably more than that. And so I was on a lot of TV programs. And I was doing voiceovers, doing real well. And then this is probably like 16 years ago or so, I knew some folks. They go, "Listen, you think Hollywood's cool?" He goes, this wasn't Charlie, some other people. They go, there's like 3 groups. There's just people that are here that make the money, and then you try to live outside the area. And then there's Scientologists, and then there really is like a cult CIA devil worshippers. And I didn't learn this from Martin Sheen or Charlie Sheen, from other people. And it was like, yeah, they've got these cults, but they all feed into this larger CIA group, and they brand the women on their bellies and all. And that was NXIVM. And then they've got these islands where they get these politicians and scientists and people to compromise them. And it's all run by MI6, CIA, and Mossad. And they fly them out to these islands. And he goes, and they're not just having sex with kids. He goes, they also, that's the entry door. And I learned this from more people and found it from other folks. And then I talked to entertainers, and then I talked to well-known musicians, and that's why a lot of them just leave, because this happened to Mark Dice, who's been friends with forever. He got offered a major show by the largest reality TV show group, and this is like 10 years ago now. And they get him in there at the end of it, and they say, "Well, here's the last thing. We want you." They're going to have a huge show with a huge, with one of the Motley Crue guys. I think it was Nikki Sixx. And the head of the company goes, "But we want you to pledge yourself to Lucifer." And Mark said, "Well, I'm a Christian." They go, "Well, we know you say you are, but let's just get this out of the way." And he says, "Is this a joke?" And they said, "No, I'm deadly serious with you." Now, that's just one guy that'll go public. I got told that. And I've had a lot of meetings. I have meetings with Bilderberg Group members. I've had meetings with all these folks, and they're off-record meetings, so I never talk about them. But one time, the head of the Kissinger Group, Rothkopf, in front of my producer, said, "We want you to come work for us. We want you to come to New York next week. We're going to, there's only a few thousand people in the super class. We want you to lead, basically the populist liberty movement. But you'll get a seat at the table, but you'll have to do what we tell you, but you'll get to have some input. You can be on your crusade and fail, or you can join us." So that was offered in front of John Harmon, my producer. I said, "Is this off record?" They said, "No, just join us." But that wasn't Satanism the way they said it there, but it's always the same speech. And so I have repeatedly had people. One time I had this major executive trying to give me a $10 million a year contract and multi-book deals every year. And they said, "You just got to come in and do the show, but we'll control what you do." And I'm sitting there, and his guy's wife comes in, and we're up in this big high-rise, corporate office, and this woman's super beautiful, and they go, I hear you like to have fun. You want to have sex with my wife right now? She thinks you're hot. She wants to have sex. What do I need to do? I need to get on my knees and have you sign this contract? Then another time...
They offer you this deal?
Absolutely. Another time, they sent this famous CIA guy, same deal. I meet with him, all this stuff, he gets on his knees. So, and that's what these people do, because they want that baseball card. They want to own Alex Jones, and they're going to want to own you when you get popular. And they're going to want, and there's super crazy stuff like I'd already heard about this, but I was talking to a very well-known individual, and I can't tell the whole story. But he was being flown by the same guy that was flying the king of a major Middle Eastern country. And I'm not going to say because we don't get the guy in trouble. This is on a big jet, jumbo, large full-body jet, and this is the chief pilot. And he tells this guy that I know doesn't BS. He tells him, listen, I've only done this once. Had to sign all these NDAs, all this other stuff. We get on the jumbo jet with the king of this major deal, and there's other jets, a couple jets following it with his family because that's how they do it. And he says, go to these coordinates. And he wouldn't even say what ocean, but he goes, there's nothing there. And he goes, no, go there. They go there. It's a private island beyond. It's like 7-star, if such a thing existed, and no homeless, nothing but billionaires. But it's just everything. And telling you that's the level of this control. And I guarantee you they've approached Joe Rogan because he hasn't told me, but I could tell in the last year he's gotten the talking to, but he said, screw him, I could tell. Because we hang out and have dinner and talk some. But the point is I can just tell because I know people get these speeches. And
for sure. Is there another Epstein Island?
But well, that's the level. The level of, yes, absolutely. When you say an island,
yeah.
I mean, I'm being told by well-known people that, man, hey, you think Hollywood's cool. What are you going to do when you're at a party some night and they bring a 16-year-old girl in there and start having sex with her and just implicate you're in the building?
Wow.
And that's why you need to not go to that party tonight. You need to get out of here. Okay, that's the kind of stuff, really, prominent people you're like telling you, this place is dangerous and you need to watch out. Because I was getting deep into Hollywood. I mean, I was at parties with the biggest names.
Well, I mean, you just have to think about if Rob, what is this you pulled up here? This NXIVM?
That's the sex cult that Alex was talking about in Los Angeles.
Name of commonly used to describe the personality cult of imprisoned racketeer and sex offender Keith Raniere. Is also trademark name Defunct Corporation that Raniere founded, which provided seminars and videos in the field of human potential development. The United States seized ownership of the organization, related entities, and personal intellectual property through asset forfeiture, allowing Raniere to keep going there. So what's the last one? Something in your district.
But that's just one feeder group. That's just one feeder group. So they have all these little, kind of like the Hells Angels or the Mongols. Will have a sub motorcycle gang that's not members but works for them.
Yeah.
And then they'll have guys under them. And so that's how they work. So so I was told by a lot of people that this stuff was going on and that Hollywood was run by basically, I mean, if you've seen that new movie, I forget the name of it. It was pretty powerful. It's actually somewhat historic. It's a composite. Babylon, about Hollywood. The latest movie that just came out.
Was it a movie or documentary?
Sound of Freedom?
No, I think it was called Babylon, Hollywood Babylon.
How to find that, Rob?
It just came out. I watched it.
What was the premise?
Is it in theaters?
It was in theaters. It was a big movie.
What was the premise of the movie?
It was the early days of Hollywood in the 20s and 30s.
Hollywood?
Yeah, I see it right here.
Right there, Hollywood Babylon. Yeah, Babylon.
2022?
Yeah, click it.
Epic Beer Black
Margot Robbie.
Brad Pitt.
Margot Robbie.
Anyways, you watch that. That stuff went on.
Go to the poster on the right, Rob.
Go to the poster right there.
Punch in.
Is that it?
Yeah, and so this is based on
Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Babylon.
This is based on real, like The Patriot with Mel Gibson is a composite of 3 stories, but they're true. And that's the same thing for a lot of these movies. But I read the research on this. This is a composite of real stuff that went on in Hollywood. So this devil worship, cannibalism, eating rats while having sex with hot women. Because to them, it's not enough to have a hot woman. Now you need to have it.
Brad Pitt is in it. Margot Robbie's on it.
Yeah.
Why would they make a movie trashing their own industry?
I think they think it's cool. And
is it coming from a place of like exposing the truth, or is it coming from a place of this is the level you make it if you become very famous in Hollywood?
They basically say this is Hollywood's tombstone in the movie. And They just say, this is who we are, and Hollywood's dead now. So now here's the story of how we began, and that maybe we'll be reborn somewhere else.
That's pretty strange right there, man.
Because we're all in the phase now of even the system has to expose itself now because this is the season of that. And so, but I'm telling you, watch this movie. This is devil worship in the 20s and 30s.
They call it a black comedy drama. Punch in, Rob.
Epic period black comedy drama. You watched this whole movie?
Yes. But what I saw at Bohemian Grove had major shades of this. And if I can, just because I never do this on big shows, we're struggling to stay on air. We still have a huge audience that tunes in, and our work gets seen everywhere. But it's kind of like I'm in a prison, and then I send letters out.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.